Hello, everyone. My name is Aaron Byrne. Welcome to the We All Can Change podcast, where I help others heal this planet to live a more fulfilled and healthier life. I do all this in a pretty non extreme and not too serious way. I'm serious. Crazy, right? Today, I'm talking about food. Yeah, I'm going to be talking about things like what we eat, what we're putting in our bodies, where our food is coming from. I'll be discussing the differences between globalized food systems and localized food systems, people's dietary needs, food as functionality. I'm going to discuss how to eat in case some of us don't know how to do that. I'll talk about the differences between organic, non-organic food. I'll be talking about permaculture and food forests, community gardens. Oh, good stuff. Yeah. This is certainly not my expertise. I don't study food for a living, right? So I don't know chemical makeup of a non-GMO seed versus a GMO seed. I don't know any of that stuff. I can scrub the surface here though on all these things, and then afterwards I can bring some more guest speakers on, and we can basically make individual episodes out of these individual topics that we talk about. So I'm excited for that. So, like, for example, if we, for dietary needs, for nutrition, I could bring on a guest speaker for that, like that whole thing, and be a whole nother episode. So that will be certainly exciting. Cool. So let's dive in. Yeah, food is definitely one of the top things that we can do to reduce our footprint. Yeah, there's like three things that if we just did those three things, oh man, we would be way more sustainable. Cool. So let's talk about footprint and stuff. So as far as water goes, water usage, there's very big differences of water use between certain things, like compared to plants to animal products, and then there's land use and carbon emissions. And so all these different foods have their own footprint, which is cool to see and cool to look at and interesting for sure. So for example, for 1 pound of beef, you require 1,200 gallons of water, and that's conservatively. I've seen certainly higher numbers than 1,200. I've seen lower numbers too, and so I just kind of picked a middle and kind of a safety number, just because I don't want to overshoot anything. And I mean, 1,200 compared to all these other numbers that I'm looking at, I mean, it's kind of a lot. So it kind of says gives itself the purpose with its numbers. So no reason to change it. Might as well be conservative with it. And that's coming from the USGS.gov website. So yeah, they know a few things. They've got a few things going on for them that they understand, I suppose. No, I'm just kidding. But so comparing that to chicken, that would be about 600 gallons for that same 1 pound of chicken. So wow, I mean, still within a meat variety, but you're cutting water use in half. Crazy. Yeah, so then going down even further, we go down to 300 gallons for a plant-based protein. So that would be like a beans, or grains, or stuff like that, right? So quite a bit of a change from 300 to 1,200. Yeah, it's a third, cutting it in half just to go down to plants, right? So pretty big difference. That's just water. I mean, we could basically shower nonstop for every single day. And if we ate plant-based while doing that, I mean, we'd still be far more sustainable than if we just didn't shower and ate animal protein. So crazy. You can shower 24/7 if you want, if you're eating plant-based. Most people don't when they're eating plant-based because they're just a dirty hippie that doesn't shower ever. And I am certainly one of them. Water goes in everything. It's super important. I mean, it's gonna be more expensive than gold pretty soon here. The scarcity and the demand for it is just crazy, and it's just gonna get worse. Yeah, so certainly an important resource of ours, right? So diving into other things for our footprint wise, it's going to be land use. So 79% of land is used for livestock. Whoa, it's a lot of land. Crazy. I fucking hate you. Okay, sorry about that. That was my brother mixing up all of his stuff in the kitchen because that's where my studio is, in the kitchen. So, very distracting. So I had to just like pause everything and I figured I'm just going to put all of that in there just because it's kind of funny. Um, so back to land use. Yeah, 79%. Crazy. That's a lot of land. Wow. And so as far as the land required for comparing a plant-based diet to a eh, kind of everything diet like average American, it would require 2 football fields to feed that person. 2 football fields of land to feed one person if they are an average American eater. not, not American eater, but they eat like an American. They don't eat Americans, but they eat American burgers probably. Comparing that to a plant-based diet, you can feed 14 people with that same amount of land. So 2 football fields to feed 14 plant-based eaters. Whoa, it's crazy. Lots of land. All right, talking about CO2 emissions. This is a part of your footprint as well. I'm switching to metric. Sorry, not sorry. So 1 kilogram of beef creates 27 kilo equivalent of CO2. Whoa. So 1 kilogram of cheese, that would be 13.5, 12.1 for pork, and then 6.9 for chicken. So yeah, I mean, chicken seems to be across the board definitely a more sustainable meat. Cool. So let's see about plant-based options. So it goes down quite a bit. Let's see, for nuts, it's 2.3, and beans, tofu is 2, and then veggies are also 2 for most veggies. So yeah, I mean, quite the difference from plants to chicken ratio wise, and then of course chicken to beef ratio wise. Wow. Yeah. So quite the variety. Go from all the way from 2, 2.3 to 27. Wow. Yeah. Wow. So the footprint differences are clear for sure, right? I mean, we can eat plant-based and just drive our Hummer H3 to work every day while leaving the shower on and like still be more sustainable than the average American. Like way more sustainable, which is crazy, right? So it's a big difference. We think about trash, we think about like cars, we certainly think about more, but then when it comes to food, we're not thinking about it too much. But food is one of the most impactful things. Wow, so sweet. I'm saying wow a lot. I'm like Owen Wilson over here or something. Is that his name? It sounds weird. Owen Wilson. Sounds like that's the wrong name. Probably is though. Wow. So the footprint's clear, right? There's obvious differences between plants and animal products. I'm not here to argue that we all have to be vegan or anything. I'm not here to argue that because I mean the facts are clear, right? The differences. I'm just here to present those and talk about how to change if we want to, because I feel like arguing about fact-based things, it's just people really aren't arguing about the facts. They're mostly just arguing about if someone is disputing some pretty obvious evidence, they're typically motivated by something else, right? So that's not my goal or my intention, is to have an argument about these things. The facts are in, it's clear. Well, moving on. So, what are we eating? What is the average American eating? Very meat and dairy dependent. I'm getting away from the facts here now, so I'm just kind of doing some obvious common sense type stuff. Yeah, we're very meat and animal-based protein dependent, right? We we've lived like this, for a while, and that was necessary back then, right? We didn't have plants to grow year round, especially in northern states or northern areas of the world. And so, excuse me. Wow, I just burped. That's disgusting. Uh, we definitely needed it, right? It was a required thing to our diet. And that's not really the case anymore, right? I mean, clearly there's a difference in society right now that we have now accessed the information required to live a plant-based diet, fully nourished, right? We've figured this out. We figured out what nutrients are in what plants, and it's pretty easy. And I mean, well, I'll dive into kind of some issues on nutrition later, but the main thing I'm trying to push is going from a meat and dairy and animal product based dependency and turn it into a delicacy, right? I mean, it just makes sense. There's something that feels different about growing this animal, or sorry, raising this animal for multiple years, and it's a lot of work, a lot of resources, a lot of effort, and this thing it just feels different than a plant. I know that plants are living too, but it's just all this effort. It should be treated better, right? I mean, most people that are hunting deer or hunting anything really, I mean, they're gonna be treating that meat far better than they would compared to like buying a burger at McDonald's, right? I mean, most people aren't making just like shitloads of venison burger like at really low quality kind of styles. I mean, there's venison burgers, but you know what I mean. Like the meat is treated better, and it's more of a delicacy, and it's more of a just a beautiful beautiful being to have, like, to be able to eat, right? And so that's what I'm trying to push is the delicacy thing. Don't have to be vegan. Let's just try eating more plants. I mean, you really don't have to do anything. I'm just talking about this stuff. I mean, if I motivate one person with this podcast, hey, it's worth it to me. So hey, cool. And I mean, the reason I don't try and push like everyone go vegan is because, or everyone go plant-based, is because everyone's in a different area in their life, and everyone has different access to these things, and everyone would be taking a different step to get closer to a healthier or more sustainable life. Some of us are eating McDonald's every day, right? Those individuals would probably be best to take a step to just health, right? To just focus on a healthier eating habit. And I mean, even that would be also more better would be also more beneficial to the planet, because the meats are even better sourced, and certainly more veggies, more plants. And so, yeah, I mean, just, yeah, taking a step to the health for that. And then if someone is eating pretty healthy, but they still eat a lot of meat, well, maybe they'll just eat more plants, and they'll realize, hey, I mean, I don't really need too much meat these days because I'm getting all my stuff from beans and plants anyways. Interesting. And then there's some people that have never ate meat in their life. And in that case, they're just listening in on this episode because they want to support me, and they're super kind. So, hey, thank you. Thank you so much. So let's dig into the types of food. There's organic versus non-organic. Wow, what is this organic word? What does that mean? Oh, I have no idea. It's another thing that I certainly don't have any major expertise in. So I'm, again, just scrubbing the surface on this stuff And then I'm excited really to just dig in and bring some people on board that know all about this stuff. But so I'll kind of highlight things and you'll kind of know the gist, but then we'll dig in later for sure. So organic, it's non-GMO, so non-genetically modified organisms. There are also far fewer pesticides allowed. If I remember correctly, I think it's about 20 pesticides allowed in organic and then compared to about 900 in non-organic. And of course, the ones that have been outlawed in organic ones are typically not as good for us or the planet. So yeah, they've been restricted for a reason, right? And then another thing is they're very organic food is very traceable. We can trace it back to the process of it being grown and then the seed source, all that stuff. So it keeps track of everything, which is nice. So yeah, I mean, good stuff, certainly. And I mean, the health benefits to non-GMO and fewer pesticides, definitely a plus. Non-organic would be way more pesticides allowed, of course, and then they can be non-GMO if they choose. I believe most non-organic seeds, if I'm not mistaken, are typically going to be GMO. So the big thing that comes with that is the GMO seed monopoly. Yeah, something like 4 or 5 companies own like 40 to close to 50% of the industry, and they're basically they run half of the world's supply of seeds. They're crazy. So as in any monopoly, they have power over this stuff. So they have the power to raise these prices on seeds and lower the choices that farmers have. So these farmers are bending over backwards and sweating their asses off to have these companies come in and just raise the prices, give them less choices of seeds, and here you go. God, it's terrible. So a big thing with that, of course, they allowed the patenting of seeds, and what comes with that is I think, to protect the patent and everything, there's no seed saving allowed. So farmers can't save their seeds. So the things that they're growing, they can't collect new seeds from the things they're growing. And which is insane, right? It just grinds my gears just seeing that. And so farmers are taking a hit, and rural America is taking a hit, and the planet is too. And so it's just insane. And I mean, the only reason for that, I mean, of course, protecting your patent, whatever, but it's really just to make more money. I mean, they have to, instead of saving seeds from their plants, they have to buy new seeds over and over and over again, while there's probably just like they're sitting right there. It's God. Okay. So there's also large scale versus small scale differences of food. So non-organic, organic, that's done. We're talking about different things now. So large scale, that's going to be, I mean, the definition is in and of itself, right? But large scale is going to be like supplying more nationwide and globalized food systems, and so you see those huge farms in the middle of the country, and they're shipping off to the world and to the whole country pretty much, and what comes with that is basically more resources used in a typically not as sustainable way. And those large scale farms, more resources are used for it for sure, and more resources are required, especially compared to a small scale farm, more localized, community based farming. Certainly, it's less resources are used, more things are controlled, quality goes up typically in the smaller batches that things are, and And so there's some huge benefits for sure. It just kind of brings community together, and it kind of goes back to that farm to table mentality, that direct consumerism. It's good stuff. And then the best of the best, the cream of the crop, is the permaculture style of food. Whoa, permaculture, big word. Yeah, I mean, of course, again, not my expertise. I'm gonna bring in some more people. I'm super stoked about this because this is something I'm very passionate about. I'm very passionate about permaculture and food. And while I don't know everything, just a summary. I mean, real quick is it's just a way of making food and growing food that's in harmony with nature, and it's the most sustainable, least harmful, most full circle kind of form of creating food. And so there's of course certain detailed standards to permaculture and that are pretty widely accepted and everything like that. And within the permaculture realm are food forests. Whoa, food forests. Crazy. So it's basically like a forest, right? You're growing a forest, but it's all edible or mostly edible plants. And so the cool thing about this is that over time, eventually, I think it's about right around 4 years, you can start to like basically stop watering it and stop really tending to it, which is insane. It's just really cool and gets me amped about the idea that we can create these forests that will just give food to ourselves and future generations without like any work. I mean, tons of work up front. Building a forest compared to a garden is way more work up front, but dang, like down the line, it's so cool. So you would take like, your canopy, your bigger kind of fruit trees. You'd take like some smaller fruit trees, then you'd take like some brush or some shrub sized edible plants, and then some ground plants, maybe some vine plants, stuff like that. And you build a forest, but it's all edible. Oh, I'm so stoked about that stuff. I'm so excited. Okay, I'm gonna try and calm down. And it used to be that way, right? It used to be small scale, localized food. And we'd grow the seeds that we found from our plants, basically, right? Just like a full circle. And it changed. It changed to a more globalized system, right? And so it's tough. It's kind of like the opposite. Food forests are the exact opposite of where we're at right now. In a good way, though. I'm excited about that kind of rebellious sense of growing your own food. Cool. But now we can get exotic fruits and anything we want year round, right? It's weird. Never used to be able to do that. It used to be that we would wait for the season, or we would can things, or we would store things somehow, right? And that's the only way we would get fruits that weren't growing during then. And so it's just a little wild, right? I mean, most of us don't really know where our food comes from. I mean, I never really used to. In the past year, I've certainly gotten more into trying to localize my food. Before that, it was mostly just worrying about eating more plant-based and eating more organic food. But now it's kind of like, oh, I need to figure out how to localize my food and keep it more community-based. Yeah, I mean, most of it, I never used to know. Like, where's your food coming from? Weird to ask. And not just plants. Like, where is your meat coming from? And what does that animal have to? What does that animal have to go through to be raised that certain way and to be, yeah, I guess grown into the now common livestock industry. Yeah, I mean, most of us don't realize what what needs to be done in order to have something that cheap, right? Because I mean, it's not normally that affordable to have meat, to be able to eat meat and cheese. Like if it's done correctly and if it's done the right way, it's a delicacy because it gets pricey, right? I mean, we'll notice like if you go to the butcher and the cow is like from the farm 2 miles away that's just like open graze and it's lived its life and then it's just killed one day, it's going to be more expensive than a cow that's in a, I don't know, like shoulder to shoulder area its entire life, just like being fed all sorts of shit. It's going to be cheaper that way. Yeah. So what goes into something to make it so affordable? Is money the number one driver? I don't really know the answer to that. So there's, another thing too is there's certainly some worries about nutrition and dietary needs within the plant-based diet. The biggest two things are B12 and protein. Oh, how do I get my B12? How do I get my protein? They are definitely worthy questions to ask because, hey, if we don't have our health, what do we have, right? So talking about B12, I have two sources that I use personally, and yeah, I've never had a problem with it. Really, it's a lot easier than most people tend to worry about. That's because it's in kombucha, and then it's also in nutritional yeast. And oh my God, I drink kombucha like most people drink beer. I drink it like like 4 bottles a week, so at minimum. So I get way more B12 than I need because there's a ton of it in kombucha. Nutritional yeast, it's like a seasoning that's popular amongst the vegan plant-based community, it seems like. Well, at least I didn't really hear about it till I became plant-based. Yeah, just like a savory sort of seasoning, I guess. And oh, it tastes so good. And it's loaded with B12 apparently. Yeah, so it must be something with the enzymes and like the growth stuff. Like kombucha is, it's like an active enzyme, like bacteria and all that stuff. So like it must be something with like bacteria and growing, yeasty stuff, something like that creates B12. Because one of the brands that I use, that I drink kombucha for, it says 1,200% your daily value of B12. And I don't know if it's just that one company, but it leads me to believe that there's plenty in kombucha. And so, especially because we don't really need much. It's definitely an important vitamin and B vitamin, but we don't need a lot of it. And so if you have like a kombucha here and there, like, once every 2 weeks, I think you're set. I'm not for sure. Don't quote me on that, but yeah, it's pretty laxed. So other thing is protein. Yeah. So where are we getting our proteins? And there's lots of protein out there, plant-based. Beans, legumes, grains, all that good stuff. Even veggies and fruit have protein in them. So that's kind of easy. A little bit more complex is the worry of complete proteins, right? Because we need all essential amino acids to survive. And so, there's certainly less access to that complete chain, but there's certainly some options. Hemp, quinoa, and soy, so like hemp seeds, quinoa, and then soy, those all have complete protein in them. Complete, people. It's complete. So, and again, just like the B12, we don't have to be eating complete protein every single day, every single meal. We just have to be mixing it up, getting some variety. So another thing that's a worry, but it's not as strict as we think. Yeah, so it's clear that the nutrition is there. I don't want to argue, again, that veganism or plant-based diets is going to be the one the one thing to change the entire world, but it has an impact. The nutrition is there. We can get all of our nutrition from it. You know, there's no need to argue, you know, one way or another. I mean, it's clear which is more sustainable, and it's clear that we can get the nutrition we need. It's just up to you from there. And anyone that tends to argue these things, it's like I said, it's we typically have different motives, right? If we're arguing against evidence-based things or factual-based things. So, and of course, some require meat in their diet based on some conditions or some things going on that they've realized from their doctor or something like that. And so certainly, I mean, if you have a legitimate thing like that, like keep eating your meat. I'm not gonna, I don't mind. But most of us can eat less meat, right? So how do we do that though? How do we make these changes? Well, my way of teaching is inspired kind of through my parents. They run a weight loss program, and they typically try and focus on what are we going to gain instead of what are we giving up, right? So if we're focusing on what we're giving up all the time, I mean, we're not going to get anywhere. Just like with the diet or anything else in our lives, if we focus on restrictions and everything as such, I mean, yeah, not going to get too far. So focus on more plants, eating more plants. That's it. Just focus on eating more vegetables, and you might find that you're full from plants, and so you don't need to eat a steak with all that stuff. So yeah, it's just like back to the basics, plain and simple. Another thing that I've gotten a ton of value from, and that's impacted my life a lot, is a blog post from the minimalists about food as functionality. Yeah, so it's kind of just taking back the idea of food as fuel, right? Because their point is that we aren't going to be happy just from food, right? That's not going to be our source of happiness. Of course, eating healthy and everything like that contributes to our happiness, and so that's another thing. But food is not going to make us happy. Most of it is actually the experience of who we're eating food with, and the experiences that we have while eating food that contributes to our lives, right? So at the end of the day, we're not going to remember the food we ate. We're probably going to remember who we ate the food with. And so yeah, food is functionality, you know, because it's really just fueling the things that we do truly love. And if I didn't eat food that fueled what I love to do, like climbing, biking, paddleboarding, all that stuff requires healthy food. And if I wasn't eating healthy, I couldn't enjoy those things. And so focus on getting back to the basics of just food as fueling the things that you truly love and the things that you truly like to do in this world. Yeah. So another thing is localizing. Yeah, trying to localize our food. Like I said, you know, it's really just been a thing in the past year for me. Just trying to localize my food and shop at farmers markets, go to the local butcher, and whatnot. I actually don't ever really buy meat at the grocery store. It's typically if I eat out, I'll eat meat here and there. But yeah, I never really buy it like intentionally, you know? If I'm out and about and I get caught up or I'm like super hungry or something like that, maybe I'll eat meat sometimes. But yeah, anyways, yeah, localized farmers market, local butcher. You know, we have access to all these things, right? We have access to a plant-based diet, and we have access to farmers markets and co-ops and all these good things. And a lot of people don't. A lot of people are in what's called a food desert, that within, you know, it's like a mile to 2 miles or so, they don't have fresh food. They don't have fresh fruit and veg. And what they have is liquor stores and and party stores that have chips and candy bars and stuff like that and soda. And it's insane, right? There's people in a modern society that don't have access to these things. And to squander our access to these foods, it's just, yeah, just take advantage of what you have and enjoy them, because people out there don't. And that's a big thing that I really want to get into down the road in my career is getting access to these places that don't have food and everything. So I want to build community gardens. I want to build these food forests and just give individuals the opportunity to eat actual food for once, right? I mean, these are individuals that are typically an oppressed group or just low income, and there's no coincidence of the correlation or anything like that between where grocery stores are and where it is in the city or the town, right? So I think the easiest and quickest way to solve this food desert issue is getting these food forests, these community gardens, getting these things put up and getting involved. And so if you're motivated on that, certainly get involved or start one if it's not already there. Most towns and cities do have community gardens and people pushing permaculture and everything. And so you can also start your own thing. Yeah, if you want to get involved, I know my friend Rob Greenfield, he is all about food and sustainable living. And right now he's growing and foraging 100% of his food for a whole year. All of it. It's insane. And he's like in urban Florida. So it's not, he's not out in the country. He's in Orlando. Sorry, urban Orlando. So yeah, crazy. I went and saw his tiny home the other day, and he's got a pretty sweet setup. It's awesome. He built it for like $1,500, and pretty, like, he's almost like closed loop system. It's super, super sweet going on. He's harvesting rain and grows all of his food and forages all of his food, 100% of it. So if you're looking for inspiration or looking to get more involved or grow your own garden, stuff like that, he's a good guy to go to. He's got all sorts of social medias and he's got a good website. And so yeah, I mean that's really what I want to get involved in, and just getting access to fresh food and fresh fruits and veggies for people that don't have it. And I mean, if you do, like, take advantage, right? Use it and get out there and and go eat some good food and whatnot. Yeah, don't squander it. There's more important things in our lives to focus on. I mean, back to like the food as fuel thing. Like the minimalists aren't just eating grass and beans, right? They're still enjoying their food. There's still the the easy possibility that you can make functional food that tastes really good. I used to live in a way that I was like, okay, I either eat healthy or I eat food that tastes good. And healthy food doesn't taste good, and food that tastes good is bad for you. But I've realized that clearly that's not the case. We we have a pretty big like sugar problem and things like that, and that's kind of like a chemical thing. Like after that's over, our taste buds kind of go back to normal. We start to taste these flavors, and so you can still live like a fun, enjoyable life, and even better because you're eating in a way that contributes to your life. Cool. That's all I've got to say about that. I'm done here. Well, hey, if you enjoyed this episode, please, 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 please share it around. And if you're looking to stay updated on when new episodes or blog posts come out, you can sign up for a weekly update on what's new. It's like it goes out every Sunday morning. It's like a Sunday paper, or it's also like going to church. So either one, if you like either of those, you can pick either one. Or if you don't like either of those ideas, you can just think of it as an email that comes to your inbox every Sunday morning. There'll be no clutter, not ever, so don't worry about me bogging up your email. It's not going to be a bunch of we all can change titles in there. It's going to be like once a week. That's it. So just head over to weallcanchange.com and enter your email at the top of any page. Yeah, it's pretty easy. I mean, I've got links in Instagram, Facebook. I've got links on this podcast episode. So if you don't like typing in things on your search box, search rectangle, then hey, you can click the link instead because hey, it's 2019. We're done with typing things. It's just click a link. But really, thank you so much for all the support. Yeah, it's been a crazy, crazy podcast episode. I recorded for a whole 50 minutes and realized that it was recording on my laptop microphone instead of my big microphone that I have in front of my face. So I spent 50 minutes, it was actually a really good episode too, and I did it with no mess ups all the way through. And then I'm like, wow, finally a good one. Like I never had to change anything. And then it was all fucked up. So it is insane. My mind is elsewhere. I'm flying to Nicaragua tomorrow morning. What? Yeah, I decided that like 4 hours ago. My buddy called me up. He's like, hey, want to go to Nicaragua? And I'm like, I have no money, but I'll go. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. Yeah, my brain is crazy. So I apologize for the, I don't know, a little bit jumbledness of this episode, but I appreciate you being so patient and everything with me. I know I didn't get an episode out the past 2 weeks. I've been traveling around, kind of figuring out where I want to be and everything, location wise, and so I didn't really have the space for my microphone, and I didn't want to make a guerrilla style podcast. So yeah, it's kind of like a big and bulky thing. Yeah. So anywhoosies, thank you so much, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend or day or night whenever you're listening to this episode. Hey, take care. And I am certainly one of them.